Happy to have my next guest on the show, Big Ben Rothwell, who looked very impressive in his BKFC debut, finishing Bobo O'Bannon last Saturday at BKFC 30. Ben, how are you?
I'm all right. I'd say life's pretty good right now.
I'd have to say so. I mean, could the outcome of this fight could it have gone any better in your debut?
It's a tough one, right? What is it? We were joking before, like what do I have to do? Like literally just instantly lunge across the ring in 1 second, hit him, and he drops flat, doesn't move. I think that's the only way you could really get it faster. So it's pretty wild. I mean, I'm doing this a long time. You visualize things before a fight. In the beginning was exactly how I visualized it, which is actually really tough to do. But I felt like he was going to move away and we're going to keep going. I was going to keep throwing, and I didn't think it was going to be 5 seconds.
Right. You know, having you in the BKFC heavyweight division, I just think it gets everyone so excited for what's around the corner. I mean, if I was the matchmaker, I think I'd put you right in there for a title shot next. Do you feel at this stage of your career that BKFC is just the perfect promotion for you to showcase your skill set?
It's really good. I can say that. For me to leave the UFC, it was kind of like I kind of told, like, me and management were talking about the landscape of what was it. And if it wasn't for BKFC, I'm pretty sure I took that last fight and fought my heart out to stay with the UFC. I've been with them for 13 years. And I think I would have did really well against Gustafsson. And, I think things I could probably still be there now. But there were some opportunities. And this is fun again. It's pretty awesome to get in there and know, like, I really get to show these things off now. And my opponents, unfortunately for them, they can't shoot a takedown or do something to stop it. So it's great for the fans.
So having said that, when you're getting ready for this BKFC debut and against Bobo O'Bannon, what was your game plan going in there against Bobo?
I keep it super duper simple. Beat that motherfucker's ass. And I keep it simple, stupid. And then you do well. And I try to implement in MMA, but in MMA, it's very tough to fulfill that because there is so many dynamics. But in my fights in the past, when you've seen me move and get into it and do really well, it was me just keeping it simple. And in this, now it's just even easier for me to get there.
How much easy is it for your body to not have to train every discipline of MMA and just focus on your stand-up skill set?
Yeah, words can't say, man, what it was like. At 40 years old, let's face it, I've been wrestling and jiu-jitsu 20 plus years. It never got easier. Like after a hard hour practice, my body was extremely sore, like you can imagine. It was tough to get through practices, and I'm having to divide my training up all week long to all the different disciplines. Now I just box. I box and I strength and condition. My body is much happier. I do a hard 1 hour practice with Golden Glove boxer, 6'8" heavyweights, everything you can imagine, and I feel great the next day. So this is awesome right now, man. Like I said, I'm having a lot of fun.
Have you noticed a change in your weight, what you walk around at, since you're not training every discipline, or are you just doing so much cardio with your stand-up that it's maybe even lighter than it used to be?
So at official weigh-in, I came in at 292, and that really, like, so the people that have been watching me, I always had to be 266 for the UFC. It was the heaviest you could be. And honestly, I was walking around 280, 285. So I was always spending, the last 8 weeks was spending, always trying to get down that weight. The day of weigh-ins, I'd actually have to cut even a few pounds. Like, believe it or not, it was like just my body just is like, doesn't want to be that small anymore. For me now, I get to be 292 is just like, yeah, there's some water weight in there. I'm sure I'm a little bit lighter, but it's just being totally normal, like a heavyweight should be, just letting my body be the way it wants with my training. Yeah, it was a big difference, man. I didn't have to deal with anxiety of stress of cutting weight, being depleted, only getting less than 20 hours to rehydrate and all that. So you got to see me at just my full power.
And that was very scary. Well, let's talk about BKFC 30. It was in Monroe, Louisiana. What was the venue, the fans, the whole experience like for you?
So everything's been a lot of fun. I try to make a comparison. So some of the most fun I ever had in my career was during the IFL. There was obviously negative things with anywhere you go and fight, there's gonna be something wrong, but they had a lot of positives going for them. As a new production, they had a good production value. They were keeping us busy, and there's a lot of things in it. And the BKFC is reminding me a lot of that. These guys are pumping out shows like they're up to 2 a month, sometimes 3. Their production is coming along. They're showing they're one of the top organizations in the world. They're doing. I mean, I'm gonna help add to that and bring it. So that part has been really fun and exciting for me to see how they're going and progressing. And I just feel like they're just from going in June to now, it's like you see them constantly getting better. They're opening up more states. So it's just constantly positive things here with these guys. And I'm excited to be part of it.
What is the contract that you signed with BKFC? How many fights do you have?
So on paper, I have 2 more fights on paper. This is the way it is. You could have 10 fight contract with the UFC and they could cut you after 1. So the contracts or whatever, it's about performing well. And as long as you keep performing well, you'll keep getting fights. I mean, that's ultimately the way combat sports works.
I know that there's been a lot of reports and a lot of athletes that have been unhappy with the pay, of being in the UFC. I mean, I know some of the guys like Conor McGregor, they're making, ridiculous amounts of money, but with what you're making in BKFC versus, a UFC fighter, is it comparable? Are you happy with the pay?
They came in comparable, and then now it just goes up. Now it's awesome. I mean, it was like my last fight was great, man. Like they're doing a really good job of taking care of the people they need to take care of. And that's why we want this thing to keep fucking rocking, man, because it's good for the fighters for sure. I can tell you one thing. This is really good for me. In the UFC, they use the win, lose, show win bonus. So you show up to your fight, you're only gonna get half your money. You have to win to get the other half of your money. And it's actually more stress than anything. I guess the idea back when was, oh, we need to hold that over them so they fight harder. And like it's total bullshit. Listen, I don't want to lose a fight, so I'm gonna fight as hard as I can regardless. But when a judge goes and robs you of a win, you lose half your pay, dude. It's just so bad mentally. All things, it hurts everybody around you. Everybody gets fucked up. And in this, my opponent didn't matter if he beat me or not. He got his whole purse. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for every guy on that card. Everybody got paid their purse. That is fucking awesome.
I think it's safe to say, Ben, that you've been a fan favorite. Your style, you always come forward and push the pace and look for knockouts. When you look back at your UFC career right now, as you're moving forward in BKFC, are you pleased with everything that you accomplished, or are you disappointed that you never got that belt around your waist?
Oh, for sure, I have to be disappointed, man. There's a lot I didn't get to show. Look at these hands. Look how they got to fire. If I'd have fired them off like that in some of these other fights, I'd had a lot more success. Unfortunately, I got hesitant in my last 7 fights. I'll use them as a reference. I went 3-4. Those 4 losses were all because of us being hesitant or something. It just, dude, the universe is crazy how things can happen to you the week of the fight, an injury nobody knows about. Those things can be detrimental, obviously, to your career. But probably the biggest factor was my mentality. And it wasn't the guy that beat Josh Burnett and Matt Mitrione and Alistair Overeem. That was the guy you saw fight this last Saturday. And I didn't, for whatever reason, I mean, I talk about the cloak, my mentality, things of that nature, but that's where the mental game is so very important in combat sports. You can do all the training in the world for 8, 12 weeks, training camp, everything goes right, but then you walk into the ring or cage and your mind isn't where it needs to be. Well, you're not going to have the results you train for. So it's a big deal putting all those together.
100%. One last question about just the UFC in general before we transition back to BKFC and your career and what the future holds. When you look at the heavyweight division right now, obviously Francis Ngannou, he's the champion, but he's been on the shelf for a little while. He had that really interesting fight with Cyril Gane. Now, John Jones is coming into the mix at some point soon. Forecast the next year for me or so. Like, who do you expect to have the gold around their waist, 6 months, a year from now? Who do you feel like is going to win those matchups when they eventually are made?
Ngannou, you have to give the time to get healthy. You're only given a 1-year deal. So what is he maybe going to get one more fight in when he comes back healthy in 1 year? If he does too, I feel like he's gonna be tough to beat. I mean, I know a lot of people are really pumping up John Jones, but we got to see John come out his next fight and kind of see how he really handles being a true heavyweight. And remember, he's getting hit by 205 guys that they put weight back on, so maybe around 220, but getting hit by a guy that's 260, 280 pounds is not the same. It's not, and we're gonna see how he's gonna deal with that. John has a ton of skills though. So I think he is exactly what the UFC wants for heavyweight. He's going to shake it up. There's no doubt about that. He's definitely going to be able to beat some of the heavyweights. I'm talking about top 10. He's definitely going to be able to beat some of those guys, no doubt. Can he beat Nagano? Can he take a shot from Nagano? That's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views because it's a question you, me, and everybody else wants to find out.
Yeah, very well said. It's going to be interesting to see what does happen in the heavyweight division moving forward. Now, as far as camp for you goes now, has it changed at all? I know you've had Pat Miletich and Duke Rufus, longtime coaches of yours. Who's around you these days?
So I was kind of, when I came to Wisconsin, I reopened the gym in Wisconsin in 2011. And that's kind of when I left Iowa, because Pat kind of stepped away from coaching. And I had been working with Duke during the whole time I was at Miletich's when I'd come back to Wisconsin. And I worked with Duke some in the beginning, but then Duke got pretty busy. He had a lot going on with Anthony Pettis, and he had his team going on, and he was an hour away from me. So the driving up and forth, back and forth got really tiring for me as I got older. So I had my gym in Kenosha, and I just really worked hard at developing coaches and training partners. So the big part during MMA was having Luis Claudio as my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach. And that's really all I needed. I felt like I just needed someone to hold pads for me. I needed training partners and an actual jiu-jitsu coach, wrestling coach to help me with those things. And that's kind of the way it was for the last decade. Now this last year, I'm not doing jiu-jitsu anymore. My main training partner is actually Division I wrestling. He wrestled Division I. He's a coach now. But I trained him into a boxer this last 4 years. So he stayed with me and keep boxing. I have a boxing coach that holds for me and some training partners. I just keep it super simple. I don't need a big world-class gym or anything like that, because when you go to those places, it kind of becomes, you're in the mix and kind of getting told what to do by, oh, you got to do this at this time, do this at that time. And I don't want to deal with any of that. I'm 40 years old. I like to have a gym where I'm like, we're going to do this, this, and this at this time. So I get to call all the shots. It's much better for my life, a lot less stressful. And I got a good thing right now.
That's great to hear. Now, for anyone that has held pads for you, how miserable is that? I can't imagine what it's like to hold pads for you. What have they told you when after a pad session with Ben Rothwell?
That Carlos Aguilar is my boxing coach, and he says, you're the champion of BKFC. He's like, dude, your power is unreal. He said just in the last year, he's talks about how bad his wrist hurts because it snaps and the crack of it. And he has different equipment. I had to get him a rival. It looks like a bodysuit to take body shots now. I broke his power shot. He has holds it like a little circle, and I broke it. So he says, yeah, the power is absolutely ridiculous. And he says he fears for his life when he has to hold for me.
Yeah, I think I would just start running in the other direction. I wouldn't even grab the pads. Now, Arnold Adams is the current heavyweight champion for BKFC. He's on a 4-fight win streak. His last loss was to Chase Sherman. When you look at that matchup, if that's what is next for you, how does that fight end? How do you see it going?
Not much different. I mean, this last one was super quick, but it could be, a minute, 2 minute, whatever. It's not going to be much different, because I can tell you this. He's good. He's skilled. Ellen Belcher is good. They're skilled. These guys are good. None of them in the BKFC have faced anything the likes of me. And that's the bottom line.
Do you feel like you are going to get the next shot? Like, what is David Feldman? What have they told you about what is next for you?
This is just common sense kind of tells me that Belcher and Adams are set up, and they just haven't announced that fight yet. So I'm pretty sure that's the next fight. Now, who fights the winner of that's where I come in. So I think I'm getting set up to fight somewhere close to when those two fight, and then I need to take care of that, and then I'll be the next one in line.
So when you are the next one in line, when that title shot does happen, what time frame are we talking? Maybe spring of 2023?
From what I'm hearing, roughly they want to get me on Knucklemania in February. And when you look at Platinum, me, bigger names, they need to put a little time in between. It looks like 4 to 5 months. And this all could change next year for all we know. But right now, so you look at right now to February, it's roughly almost 5 months. I went in February, so now I'll go 4 or 5 months from then. That's what I would predict.
Okay, sounds good. I can't wait to see you back in the BKFC circle. What a debut. Again, the future for you in this promotion is very bright. And it's a pleasure interviewing you for the first time, Ben. I've been watching your fights for a very, very long time now. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. Please tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Yeah, and check me out on Rothwell Fighter. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I have a blue check on Facebook. Ben Rothwell Athlete. So we're on there having fun again this week. So putting up some funny posts, and I had grilled off some awesome meat from Lamelo's Meat, which I don't usually do stuff like that, but it was so damn good I had to do a video for them. First Round Management and Market Cipher. RothwellMMA.com if you want to check out my gym and see what we're about in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And that's about it, man. Fucking thanks to fans, and thank you. I love what you guys do, man. You're getting it out there, man. Let everybody know how exciting bare knuckle boxing is. So appreciate it.